You are now watching Lesage, the best place to learn about competitive Pokemon TCG. Let's get it! Yo, what's poppin' peeps? Welcome back to the channel, Lesage here. Yo, today we're going to be covering over Turbo Zacian. Now my good friend Josh Sutherland was able to win the $500, I don't know why I'm holding up both hands, $500 GG Tour event fairly recently with Turbo Zacian, really putting some life back into this deck. Now, this is very similar to the one that I featured on the channel before, but considering it is a Fusion Strike deck, I do want to make sure that I am covering this for this particular format. So the list is going to be in the description. You can copy and paste it right into PTCGO. Be sure to check out some other goodies in there as well. We're going to be going through some awesome gameplay, explaining the list, all that good stuff. So you want to know what? Let's look over this list and see exactly what's up. So here we have Turbo Zacian, and this deck is relatively cheap to build online and in real life, and it is quite effective. The goal is to use Intrepid Sword. You attach an energy for your turn, and you try to rip an energy with Intrepid Sword, or more than one energy, depending on how lucky you are. After that, you're going to be using Brave Blade for 230 damage, and that's good to knock out most Pokemon V. Now, you can kind of cheat the Intrepid Sword a little bit. This deck has Rotom Phone, so you can stack a Metal Energy on top of your deck, or you could use Oranguru to stack a Metal Energy on top of your deck. So you're able to get that guaranteed energy with Intrepid Sword. So Zacian V, it's not all about luck. There are ways for you to influence it as well, and I think that that sounds really cool too. You also have ways to accelerate energies with Metal Saucer and Metal Energy. So this Pokemon can attack relatively quickly. You got Zamazenta V, which allows you to stop your opponent's Pokemon VMAX, or if they don't have any opportunities to stop Zamazenta V, you can just sit there and assault tackle for the rest of the game, and they might not necessarily have an answer. Some decks literally have no answers to this card. So that's basically it. You're putting energies or cards that you might want to have for your next turn, using Intrepid Sword, going after your opponent with Brave Blade, boss is ordering up your opponent's important Pokemon. And then you have other cool cards too. You could heal with Crystal Cave. I think a couple copies of Raihan in this deck are great because you could get your opponent, after they knock you out, you can get an energy, grab a Metal Saucer, and really just get set up with Raihan again. Get everything going. Cape of Toughness, giving yourself more HP. This is a great deck for anyone who's brand new to the game, or it's a great deck for anyone who's kind of looking for a budget deck, or it's even a great deck in general. This deck really has a lot of results. So you want to, let's jump into some gameplay and see exactly what this deck can do. Yo, so we won that coin flip. That's hype. Of course we want to go first. This is the best case scenario for the Turbo Zacian deck. So this is exactly a great start for us. We're going to start off with the Zacian V. We have opportunities to make things happen. So we'll fully explain what's going on here, what's our best way. We see that energy, we see that Oranguru, really praying that we can get another one. We did hit a single strike URSHIFU deck. This might be difficult because this can get through Zamazenta VMAX, or Zamazenta V with their single strike URSHIFU VMAX. They're doing 270 and go through anything, so that is one way. But we could go really early game, Brave Blade, and be good against our opponent's deck. So we are getting at least one mulligan, and we are getting another card for our deck. Yep, so we are going to get the extra one. Don't ever want to put a card down on your bench, and we didn't really get too much going on here, but we do know a few things that we want to do. We know that we want to put 3 Pokemon V down and one single prize card Pokemon. That's going to force our opponent, no matter which way they split it, to knock out 3 2 prize card attackers. If they ever target the Oranguru, it really doesn't change their prize rate at all, and it does nothing for them in the game, unless of course you give them this one. We know that Zamazenta V can be good in this matchup, and it forces them to use Gmax one blow, so it is one of those things that's worthwhile. We could put the Metal Energy on top of our deck, but it's better for us to attach the energy raw, because that gives us more opportunities for the top 3 cards to be energies. Additionally, a lot of players I see when they're playing this deck, they'll go Primate Wisdom, put a Research on top of their deck. That takes away a chance if that single top card is a Metal Energy. So it's much better for you not to put a card on top of your deck unless it's a Metal Energy. Now, during your turn, you might want to Primate Wisdom, a Research on top of your deck in case your opponent plays Marnie or something like that. But it is much better just to use raw Intrepid Sword for this situation. So you can see we got an energy. Next turn, we're ready to attack with Intrepid Sword. We don't necessarily have the greatest hand. We have access to Marnie, and maybe we'll get an energy off that, because obviously we don't want to research away all of these Metal Saucers and things. But so far, I think we're in an okay spot. Beyond that, another thing that I want to point out is I didn't attach the Air Balloon. our opponent could just play a boss's orders on their first turn or do a lot of different things. So that's one thing that I want to kind of just go over here. It's quite possible for them to do a lot of different things. I'd rather have those options, and if our opponent Marnies me, I'm also in the front with the Zacian V. We also have Switch, we also have Air Balloons. Like, I'm not really worried about it. It's when you start prematurely attaching these cards for no good reason, and that's when you get stuck up in the active spot. So, of course, our opponent sees the Zamazenta, and they're going to go for their GMAX 1 low strategy against it. We might be able to run them out of energies, so that's one thing that we got to watch out for. And we also got to plan the Pokemon that we're going to be knocking out. We can knock out the Houndour at GMAX 1 blow, single strike URSHIFU VMAX, and a Crobat that is 1+3, which brings us to 4, +2 with the Crobat, which brings us to 6. It's always good to kind of open up a game and like understand the Pokemon that you need to knock out to get from point A to point B to point C the fastest. See, now there's that boss's orders, and we just have the Air Balloon ready to go. We also have Cape of Toughness. The Cape of Toughness wouldn't have mattered on here because they're just knocking it out no matter what. Their single strike energies bring that GMAX 1 blow to numbers that we just cannot protect against. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to Air Balloon here. We're going to go ahead and go Cape of Toughness here. And we're going to play Marnie before retreating. A lot of peeps are going to retreat first. We're just going to go ahead. There is opportunities for us to go Primate Wisdom, put something like Professor's Research on top of our deck, but at the same time, I'm really not worried about dead drawing, because if worse comes to worse, I will just use Intrepid Sword. Realize that Brave Blade is not always going to be the answer. So let's go Marnie, see what is popping with his hands. We do have an energy, we do have a switch, we do have our other Zamazenta V. I think that these are all great opportunities for us to kind of jump back into this game or really just have good footing in this game. So before we do anything, we are going to go ahead and Primate Wisdom the Raihan on top of our deck, because we are going to be attacking and knocking out this Houndour. The other thing that's cool about knocking out Houndours and how it's part of our plan is because now our opponent can only attach an energy for their turn, and they can only get one single strike roar off if they are able to evolve that Houndour. By knocking out Houndour early, we are isolating our opponent's chances. So let's attach an energy here. We're going to go ahead here, retreat. And we're going to go ahead and go for Brave Blade. So really, turn 2, gigantic hits is really what makes this deck very good. We're aggressive. We have Switch to reset everything. Top deck the Professor's Research. Amazing. Right now, we're just in a great spot, and it doesn't look like our opponent can do too much to us right now. It looks like they might try to build up for an impact blow. We're going to switch and knock them out. Or they might try to go for evolving into a single strike URSHIFU VMAX, hit us for like 100 or 120 and some change. We're just going to switch and attack them and put ourselves in a better position. So we'll see exactly how it plays out. Our opponent might give us another Houndour. That's fine. Feed us Houndour so you cannot evolve. That's really what our main goal is. We might change up the way that we try to knock out Pokemon as well. Now, if they just feed us this one compared to, instead of giving us this, we might go 1, 2, knocking out the Crobat. But still, we're in a really good spot. I could have put that Zamazenta V down as well. Like, that was certainly an opportunity. But it is what it is. The thing that sucks the most is that we lost both of our Switch. I think that's the part that worries me the most. So their impact blow is now doing 180, 220. Not enough for a knockout. But they might have Tool Scrapper. Or they might have... they can't play Tool Jammer, but maybe they could play Tool Jammer at a later time. So we're really looking for a switch. Okay, that's not really a switch. We do understand that Raihan can be important. So before doing anything, we might be able to get a switch or a supporter. Let's go for Primate Wisdom. I'm going to put the Raihan on top of the deck in case they knock us out. Didn't really get too much going on here. We are just going to go for Crystal Cave and Crystal Cave it up. I think what I'm going to do here is attach an energy here, retreat the Zacian into the Oranguru. I'm going to go for Metal Saucer onto the Zamazenta. And I'm going to go boss's orders early on our opponent's Pokemon, just bringing up like their single strike URSHIFU VMAX to make it a little bit more difficult. Maybe they won't have a switch. A lot of these lists aren't even playing switch. They're only playing 3 Air Balloon. Now we're going to go for Intrepid Sword. So we have the switch, we have some stuff going on here. Maybe they'll get a knockout. If they get a knockout, we have opportunities to kind of jump back into this game and knock our opponent's Pokemon back out, drawing some prize cards. You have to understand, these are only 5 out of the few prize cards that we're trying to bring up. And depending on how our opponent's Pokemon, like how they really react to this situation, they might not be even able to knock out a Zamazenta V. They'd have to attach an extra energy there. At that point, I can knock them out with this Zacian V. There's things that could happen. So depending on how things go, I think we're still in a pretty good spot. And we'll see. Maybe they won't have the Umbreon VMAX. Maybe they're not bringing up one of our Pokemon on the bench. Maybe they're knocking out Guru, which is best case scenario. And as I'm saying that, they're just holding on to the Evolution Incense. So we'll see which Pokemon they want to bring up. Honestly, at this point, I'd much rather them bring up the Zamazenta or the Zacian V, because it is so close to getting knocked out anyways that I'm just fine with it. Now we do have Raihan. We could just like literally send this up and Raihan, because Raihan doesn't matter where you attach from to anywhere. It's not like Metal Saucer where you can only attach to your bench Pokemon. So let's go ahead here and send up, we could send up the Zamazenta V. I think that sounds fine. And we could discard one of our opponent's energies. So I'm not like upset about that. We have 2 energies in our discard pile. Honestly, at this point, we could try to power this up and get a knockout. We do have access to like Metal Saucers. So depending on what we get, if we get like a Metal Energy off of this Primate Wisdom, we might just be able to get it. That's something that's really cool. We could just get a response knockout. So let's go Primate Wisdom, put Crystal Cave on top of the deck. If we get a Metal Energy or a Metal Saucer or something else like that, we're really good. The Rotom Phone's not really going to do anything. So at this point, we're going to attack with Zamazenta V. So let's go ahead here. Raihan and Energy onto Zamazenta V. And we can grab another card out of our deck. At this point, putting Zacian V down is something that we probably don't want to put down, because any of their Pokemon could really just knock it out. That's kind of the big scary for us. For other things, we might just want to put down another Pokemon, or maybe just get a Professor's Research. Professor's Research might just be the safe call. We're going to go for Rotom Phone here. Maybe try to get a Quick Ball or a Zamazenta on top of our deck. I think those sound like pretty good options. Now, Crystal Cave seems just like our best option, just in case they get another Tower of Darkness. So this deck's not always going to get everything that you want, because it's very it just does what it wants to be doing. But at the same time, you can see that we're throwing our opponent through a few loops, and we are going to go for a Salt Tackle. Now we could, depending on what they have Urn of Vitalities, we might want to take away their Single Strike energy. They could just get a switch. So quite honestly, it might just be better for us to take this energy away, because they can't attack with this Pokemon next turn, and it doesn't really matter, because I don't care about discarding the energy on a Pokemon that I'm trying to knock out, or that a Pokemon that I perceive is going to get knocked out. But they might just have switch, get an energy back, and attack. And that might be the biggest thing to worry about. To me, it looks like if they have a switch here, we're in a tough spot. Did they play switch or did they retreat? I can't... It doesn't say that they played a switch. I think they just retreated and then attached an energy, which might be difficult for them to kind of deal with. Although, like, I do see a switch there. Okay, yeah, they're just passing that up. Now, we don't have the boss on top of our deck. That's a thing that's going to be a little bit difficult for us to deal with. But we do have Air Balloon, and we can make some choices there. I don't think it's worthwhile for us to play switch or put any of these cards on top of our deck. I know that we just put the Crystal Cave on top of the deck, and we could have grabbed boss kind of thinking about the situation, but it probably doesn't matter too much. We're going to go ahead here and play Professor's Research, pitch this away, and we're going to try to get another Zom set up. Now, the issue with getting Zom set up is that we don't have a Zamazenta at all, so let's go Primate Wisdom. I know that boss's orders can be quite important, so we are going to play that on top of the deck. And here we're not getting Zamazenta set up at all, so we are going to go ahead here and retreat, send this up. I'm going to attach the energy here just in case our opponent is not able to bring this up, because we got to understand they've played a boss, they've played an Umbreon. We'd like to go boss's orders, bring this up. We might be able to go Rotom Phone, grab an energy, retreat, knockout on this Pokemon, which would be huge for us. So let's go ahead here and we can pass our turn. Again, we don't want to put this down because we want to reserve it for another Zamazenta V, which might be hard for our opponent to knock out. I think this game really relies on if this Zamazenta V will be able to knock out this single strike URSHIFU V, we're probably fine because they've already played 2 Urn of Vitality. We really want them to struggle to go through Gmax 1 blow twice. And that's really, I think, how we're going to be able to win this game. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to be able to win this game. And that's why it's better to retreat there instead of attacking into the Crobat. And if our opponent attacks into the Oranguru, that's completely fine with us. They might just bring up the... They might attack with their Umbreon. Oh, okay. To me, it looks like now they're going to be going for that knockout. It looks like they have to have the raw boss's orders in their hand. Either that or they're really hoping that we don't have energy. Tool Jammer. Oh, okay, they still don't have it. Wow. Okay, so if we're able to go for Rotom Phone and get a switch or an energy on top of our deck, we are good. Because we can then Primate Wisdom that card and draw it in our hand. That's the other cool technique with Rotom Phone. So let's go Rotom Phone. We do have the energy, so we can make that happen. We can now put a card on top of our deck. So let's go Primate Wisdom. I'd like to have a Professor's Research if our opponent Marnies us. So let's go ahead and Primate Wisdom away the Professor's Research, so we have access to that. We are going to go ahead and attach this energy here, and we can now go Boss's Orders up on our opponent's Pokemon here. So this really allows us to go retreats. I would have loved to get the knockout with Guru. That would have been cool too. It is a cool way that you could do it, especially with Raihan, but you can't play Boss and Raihan in the same turn. So there's that Assault Tackle, and you can see, like, so far we're doing pretty good in this game. At this point, it doesn't matter which one we discard, the capture energy automatically goes. And I mean, the Pokemon's getting knocked out anyways. The fact that they attached an extra energy on there beforehand is not good for them. And we are getting the Quick Ball and energy and a Metal Saucer, so we could really just get another Zamazenta up here because our opponent can't really attack us with many other Pokemon. They can knock us out with a single strike URSHIFU V with, I think they need, what, three single strike energies attached to them? Which is difficult to get considering they'd have to get raw single strike energy, single strike roar. But we'll see exactly how it plays out for us. And we do discard them with the Assault Tackle as well. We could also just go Zacian V goes down, and then we can knock out this Pokemon if it ever gets to that point as well. The one thing that's a little bit tough is that our Air Balloon's also locked out of the game. Just from their Tool Jammer. So we'll see how our opponent really plays this one out. Will they find the other raw single strike energy and be able to get a knockout? Or not? There's their last Urn. So this means if we're able to take care of the single strike URSHIFU V with Zamazenta, they might just be struggling enough to the point where we could just take away all their energies. Because I think that's their last Urn. Yeah, okay, so I was like, there's a reverse holo one there. They missed it. So let's see exactly what we could do here. We could go Boss's Orders, take away their energy, which would put them at 170. But that doesn't really help us out too much. It's one of those things where we just want to get another one set up. I think that's the biggest goal for us right now. We could go, because they have all the energies back into their deck. But that means they only have one. So really the fact that we are out of the Air Balloon, stuff like that, means that they're able to knock us out. Now, they might not necessarily have a switch card. So that could be something that's difficult for them to deal with, is that they are struggling with the switch cards. We could also Boss's Orders up one of their Houndooms, because we've only played one switch. I think we definitely want to go Boss's Orders. I just don't know if we want to be bringing up a single strike URSHIFU V. I think this might just be the best option for us to bring up, and then take away their energy. I know it puts us in a position where we are going to be getting knocked out, but it doesn't necessarily always, like, it's not going to necessarily hurt us. The Rotom Phone's not bad. I know that we're going to get a Research on top of our deck, but I'd much rather get a different card. Quick Ball to me seems like a much better choice. The reason why I decided to end up bringing this Pokemon up is because I think that we could go ahead and get another Zamazenta set up and eventually knock this Pokemon out the next turn, because we can actually play down all of our Metal Saucers or our remaining Metal Saucers. So let's go ahead and Assault Tackle this Pokemon. I think this is the correct choice. I wish we had a little bit more HP. Cape of Toughness would be huge here, if we did have Cape of Toughness and not anything. But our opponent is now down to single strike energies. They have 3 left total, 1's already attached. And I'm not sure if they ever had all 4 out in play. They also run the risk of drawing into their single strike energies and not being able to use single strike roar. They should have definitely used single strike roar beforehands. I don't know if they actually have the energy, and we might see a concession here. Yo, let's go! So that was a really interesting game, and I want to talk about it for a quick second. So we were able to win this game, even though that we had a little bit of a shaky draw here or there, or we didn't necessarily get to use Metal Saucer as often as we would have liked to. We were able to effectively use Zamazenta V to isolate our opponent's Pokemon that were not able to knock us out. We had a few close calls, and there were some times where I felt like we could have got a little bit more lucky. But in the way that we played the game out, I thought that the game really went our way because our opponent was not very resourceful with their Urn of Vitality or their single strike energies. They could have easily resolved that last turn situation by using single strike roar first, and that's why it shows why sequencing is so important. So while Turbo Zacian is not necessarily the most difficult deck to play, there was a lot of sequencing when it came down to the correct order of operations between using Primate Wisdom to put a card on top of your deck, when to play Rotom Phone, when to use Intrepid Sword, when to play Boss's Orders, and a lot of those decisions are difficult even for a veteran player of myself who's been playing the game for 15 plus years. So I highly urge you to play this deck, especially with Ice Rider Calyrex making a return in both Suicune Ice Rider Calyrex decks and Ice Rider Calyrex Hammer decks. I think it's an incredibly strong choice in this metagame to play Turbo Zacian, and it's very good against a lot of the VMAX decks. Fire decks are at an all-time low, so go ahead and give it a try. If you are new to the game, or if you're a player who's balling out on a budget, this deck's certainly a winner, and it will allow you to see some success. Again, this list is really based off of Josh Sutherland's list. It is a list that my testing group and we made 3 months prior, and I've covered on the channel multiple times before. So be sure to check out any of those lists out too. That being said, if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check out the description for the list, and if you're missing any of the cards for this deck online, you can go to PTCGO plug in code Lesage5 to save 5% on your next order of codes. I'll catch up with all y'all next time. Peace out, and have a great day. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me. And my goal with this channel is to spread my love of the game and knowledge with our entire Pokemon TCG community. If you haven't already, help signal boost this video to other Pokemon TCG fans by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we reach our goals really soon. Check out this recommended video, and have yourself a great day. Thanks.